Work session to order for May 4th, 2014. Roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Dominic, Johnson,
Present.
Williams,
Here.
Lynn,
Here.
Bowman, Baker, Judge Watts, Escaday, Thibodeau, Cox, Smith,
Here.
Epperson.
Yeah.
We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, if I get Commissioner Escaday to do the invocation and Commissioner Smith to do the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today and guide us in our deliberations. Inspire us and help us and lead us in all to take care of the people's business of Caddo Parish. We ask your special blessings on all the men and women who wear the uniform in defense of our country. We ask this in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Turn and face the flag and repeat after me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item.
Are there any agenda additions?
I have none. Do you have any?
No.
Okay, next item.
Next, we move to citizen comments.
Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to myself or the clerk of the commission. Citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. I have 2 cards. First one is Casey Hall.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. My name's Casey Hall. I'm the president of the North Caddo Shooting Club. We're a new shooting club that just started in North Caddo Parish. We've been in operation for about 3 years. We focus on youth trap shooting, which I'm also the state director for the state of Louisiana for AIM Youth Trap Shooting through the Amateur Trap Association. So we focus on AIM Youth Trap Shooting, a 4-H shooting sport for kids ages 8 to 23. I don't have one with me, but I can get some. And we are looking at trying to lease 80 acres of property from the parish to build an area for us to go out and do these shooting sports. Right now we're shooting on private property in Blanchard, Louisiana, where they're building houses around us, so our time is limited there. Through the 3 years we've been doing this, we have brought 9 state championships to Caddo Parish. From most of these are normally one down south. We've taken and brought them back up here to our parish through this process. Our focus is mainly on youth trap shooting and youth shooting sports, getting kids involved, getting them educated on firearms and firearm safety, archery and archery safety, because that's the only way to reduce what we see happening with our youth these days, is to get them educated and get them involved in how to use it safely. Through this process, we hope to establish a gun range with trap fields, skeet fields, sporting clays, and indoor archery building that we're all going to fund through fundraisers that we will do as a group to get this money involved. What we would like to do is to bring the AIM State Championship for the state of Louisiana to this facility once we get it completed. And once we have it established and have our trap fields and things like that built, we want to sell memberships to the public and let them fund these kids' shooting adventures. Okay, let the money that comes in pay for these kids' shells and for their archery equipment and things, so that the children that can't afford to do this from their parents, because I can attest to you having 2 kids in this program, it's not very cheap. It's very expensive on the parents. And it limits some of the children that could partake in this sport and in this learning process. So by selling memberships, once we're established, it'll allow this money from the outside community to support more kids to partake in this sport. And it's one of the safest sports in the nation. It even comes in at less injuries for 100 participants than recreational walking. So it's 0.4% on shooting and 0.2% per 100 participants in archery. So it's a very safe pastime, it's very regulated, and I'd appreciate y'all's vote to lease us this 80 acres that we're looking at the old Morrisport landfill. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, right now we can't ask any questions, but Mr. Hall, if you had a card or something that you can give to our clerk, any of the commissioners have any questions, they can give you a call or conversate with them.
Okay, I will do that. Thank y'all for your time.
Next we have got some more cards. Lindsay Hawkins. Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Lindsay Hawkins. My address is 9231 Simmons Place, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71118.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, well, last Monday, on I believe it was April the 27th, Animal Control came and took our dog, saying that it had bit a child. We were gone me and my boyfriend, we were gone the entire day. The dog was gone with us. Whenever we got to the house around 7:15 that evening, we got our stuff out the car and went inside, and the dog went inside the house with us. We didn't go back outside. And these people were saying that our dog bit their child, and it's impossible because our dog was inside the entire time. Well, when the animal control people came and the police came, we told them we were trying to explain our story, and they really didn't even want to hear it. They were just sure that our dog bit this child, and they were taking our dog. They didn't get a statement from us. They didn't get anything. They just basically took our names, took our dog, and left. The next day, they told us that day that the lady across the street had bandaged up the child, and we were familiar with the lady across the street, so we went over there to ask her what had happened, because we didn't even know what was going on. And when we went over there, she didn't know what was going on either. She said that the children's parents had also came over there and accused her of bandaging her child up and trying to covering it up, which she did not. She told us that, and accusing her dog, and she doesn't even have a dog. So then they told us that they accused also the neighbors to the left of them, which I'm not sure of their last names, but their names were Mark. It was a father and a son. And we went over there to ask them what was going on, and they said that their dog was also accused of biting the child. Well, whenever the animal control person was there and the patrolman was there, they told us that the dog came out of our yard. These people were positive it was our dog. Well, if that's so, then we were wondering, why are they knocking on all the neighbors' doors before they ever even come to our house? So we went to the animal control place. We requested that an officer come out there and get these people's statements to try to get our dog back. And so that evening she came out there. At first, we were trying to tell her what was going on. We were outside when she pulled up. And she wasn't really trying to listen at first, but the lady from across the street that I spoke of earlier, Miss Sharon, she came and was trying to tell the lady also what she knew about the story. And so she started to listen a little bit more, and so she went to the witness's house across the street, which was a small child, and showed him a picture of our dog and asked him if it was our dog, and he said no, that was the wrong dog. So the child and the mother came to our house and apologized about this. And so we went back to the animal control, and the lady, she took all the statements, and we went back up there the following day.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, we went back up there the following day, and they still wouldn't give our dog back. We had the statements and everything. The animal control lady told us she was sorry, that she knew it wasn't our dog and stuff, and that she would have it cleared up the following day. Well, the following day it wasn't cleared up. We still haven't gotten our animal back. And so we've been back and forth with these people trying to get our animal back. Although they have proof that it's not our dog, they're still keeping him for quarantine for 10 days. They are giving our animal back, but the point of this is it's not our animal that did this. So I guess what we're asking is for y'all to try to help us get our dog back. And I just don't feel like these people have been doing their job right. I mean, it's not everyone at the animal control shelter. It's just been a few people that we've dealt with. And they haven't done everything that they should do to try to do what's right. I mean, they're trying to protect a child. I understand that. It's nothing to do with the child. It's the point that they're watching the wrong dog. How are they helping the public if they're watching the wrong dog? And they haven't tried to do anything about it.
Your time is up.
Okay.
It's Mr. Aaron Hall.
He is.
Is he gonna say the same thing, or you want to yield your time to Ms. Hawkins? Or you want to say? Yeah, come on up.
Have point of information while they're coming up. Could we have the administration to respond to this during the admin report.
Absolutely.
Okay. But I was also get Mr. Harris to meet with them on the side. But Dr. Wilson, I know you have some information pertaining.
Yes, I'd like to respond.
Okay. Okay. We will.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
My name's Aaron Hall. Everything she said is kind of what I was going to say.
The address as well.
Address is 9231 Simmons Place in Shreveport, Louisiana. I understand that a child was bit. It's a 6-year-old child, and it is very important that, you know, he is okay. But I feel like our dog is being watched, and it's not the dog that bit this kid, and that's a fact because he was inside with me. I pleaded with them and tried to show them, you know, we talked to the neighbors. All of the stuff that's coming back kind of doesn't make sense. They're beating on everybody's door, saying it was their dog. We actually talked to them a few days ago, and they still think it might be the dog across the street and not our dog. They were almost definite that it wasn't our dog. So I don't understand if they are almost definite it's not our dog, how the animal shelter hasn't kind of went to them and said, okay, these are the facts we found. There are other pit bulls running around in your area that are brown and white. The main witness to all of this came forward and said, no, that's not the dog that bit my friend. He came to me almost crying, saying that, you know, we're sorry that it's not, that wasn't the dog. You know, we're sorry we put your dog in animal, you know, they had to come and take him. Which I understand the first night, okay, they didn't know which dog it was. Y'all, you know, you had to take the dog. But the next day, you know, a lot of stuff was found out that it wasn't my dog. My dog was inside with me. There's a witness to the crime that said it wasn't my dog, but they're still holding my dog. I just don't feel like that's right, and maybe a little bit more investigating should have went into it.
Okay. Mr. Harris, could you get with them on the side and kind of discuss some of the other things? We're going to do that during the administrative report, your response.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're still in public comment, so we're going to take care of public comments first and then we'll vote. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The next one is Maurice Lauren. Give us your name and address.
Morning. Afternoon, excuse me. My name is Maurice Loridans. I live at 1067 College Street, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. I'm here representing a Better Shreveport and Bike Shreveport, and it's because I believe this commission is going to be considering and then voting on something to do with the Uniform Development Code and the requirement that future development of traffic and roads take into consideration bike infrastructure. And I want to say that I support that. I have been riding to work and to a lot of other my life's functions for the last 10 years. And I represent a group of people, most of whom would have liked to be here today, but they had to work, that are very much in favor of any consideration for bike infrastructure, such as road signs marking share the road, bike paths alongside roads, bike lanes along the side of roads, and sharrows, which means shared lane arrows marking the fact that bikes are allowed legally to be on roads. We would like, a lot of people would cycle for practical reasons and for recreational reasons, but are afraid to because they don't feel safe, and bike infrastructure is designed to make them feel safe. I want to point out that a lot of jurisdictions have improved immensely their cycling infrastructure. The city of Austin, the cities of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, New York City, Chicago, San Francisco, and all of these are the places where the youths, the people that are 20-something and 30-something, would prefer to live than a place like Shreveport, Caddo Parish, which has practically zero bike infrastructure. It's hard to keep our kids at home after they've graduated from college when Shreveport doesn't offer much and Caddo doesn't offer much like that. So I want you to know that I'm definitely in favor of it, and I speak for a lot of people that are also in favor of positive consideration for bike infrastructure in the construction of public ways. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. The next group of speakers I have, they're all on the same subject. So Michelle, would you put 15 minutes up, and we'll let them talk within that 15 minutes. Who would be the major spokesperson? Okay. Would you come up and give us your name and address?
My name is David Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program, Biomed Research Foundation, and Colonel, retired United States Army. My address is 2031 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm here to provide you a real quick update, and I'm going to turn it over to the most important people here today, the people that are part of the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. But first, I'd like to say that the Biomed Research Foundation is led by a volunteer board of directors that directs the activities of all of the business units, to include myself in the EAP. They ensure a fair and equitable execution of the programs within the EAP. The EAP employs several key members of our community to ensure that all groups are represented. A couple of them are going to speak. Also, the EAP works with Grambling, Southern University Shreveport, to ensure that the ideas and the opportunities for entrepreneurship get to the EAP so that they can get funded, and we continue to build our entrepreneurial ecosystem. As part of that, we've selected for the first time six interns, 2 from Grambling, 1 from Centenary, 1 from ULM, 1 from Louisiana Tech, and 5 of those 6 interns are minorities. On our trip, you know, we took on the task of building an ecosystem roadmap for entrepreneurs. We teamed with the University of Texas. Many of you went with us last year. We invited all of you to go with us to Austin starting tomorrow. We ensured that that group represents Shreveport, and about half of that group is represented by minorities. So when we build that roadmap, we're going to take into consideration everybody across the board in our community. I've presented to all the local universities, the African American Chamber of Commerce, to make sure they know how to get to EAP. A lot of you have referred opportunities to us that we're currently working with. Now I'm going to turn it over to a couple of the key entrepreneurs so that you can hear from them what EAP is doing for them. Dexter, would you go first, please?
My name is Dexter Blanche. My address is 414 Wynwood Drive. I've been here before to tell you guys how important this is, and it's extremely important because of the support system. It's extremely hard when you have your own company and you don't have anywhere that you can find money to support your idea, especially when you're selling product globally. Now it's time to take the product to the next level. I don't know how, but now the Entrepreneur Accelerator Program have all the right resources. I've been here where Dr. Butler was supporting this thing. He's a mentor, and he's been guiding me through this, and there's no way that an entrepreneur like me can provide jobs in this city if we don't have a support system. I'm not up here to get paid from nobody. You know, I'm up here to tell you the truth about an organization that's really helping, and I worry them to death. They take all my calls, I use all the facilities, and I use every resource they have, because failure is not an option for mine, and I want to stay right here in Shreveport with my company. I don't want to move it. So with the momentum that we're the #1 city right now to start a startup, there will be a lot of other businesses, and as the EAP grow and we grow, it'll just be a win-win for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Cuthbert Simpkins. I'm a resident of Caddo Parish. I'm a trauma surgeon and critical care physician. I'm also the president and chief innovation officer of VivaCell Bio Incorporated. Our company...
Address?
Beg your pardon?
Your address as well?
3060 Nottingham Drive.
Thank you.
I'm also... our company is a biotechnology startup. The first product in our pipeline is VivaCell, which is a blood alternative that keeps patients alive after they have lost large volumes of blood or have massive infections. Both composition and method patents protect VivaCell with 6 issued U.S. patents and numerous issued patents internationally. I am also the inventor of VivaCell. As you could imagine, for a product like ours, the market is enormous at $25 billion per year. I ask that you visit our website, vivacellbio.com. I have cards here I can leave with you so that you can review our stellar management team and watch our interesting video. Most of our investors have come from the Chicago area and other places outside of Louisiana. I'm trying to find a reason to stay here. I love this area. My wife and I love it here. We want to be here. My family's here. Last Thursday, our Chief Financial Officer, Paul Burton, and I presented our company to the Louisiana Angel Fund and Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. With this investment, I can make a case for our company to have a base here. Without it, I can't make a case. If there's no case for being here, we will have to move our company to Chicago and cease any presence here in Louisiana. So as a citizen of the state and this parish, I hope they will be given the opportunity to remain and to grow here. I reviewed the amendment of the Economic Development Fund. Actions speak louder than words. The actions I've seen show the opposite of what the amendment infers. Last Thursday, a total of 5 startup businesses presented at this conference. All of them were exciting ideas. You would have been very proud to see what came out of Louisiana. African Americans own 2 out of 5 of the businesses, and one of the other businesses was co-owned by an individual who was also a minority. One of the things I have come to appreciate in my brief but intense experience as an inventor and entrepreneur is that the enormous wealth-generating power that comes with combining invention with capital is real. I have also concluded that one of the worst consequences of segregation to the African American community has been the exclusion of participation in this economic dynamo. This has deprived us of full benefit in the American dream. What I'm seeing now also is a need for economic acceleration in all communities in North Louisiana, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and others. I need to have a reason to keep VivaCell Bio in Louisiana. I came back here to be close to my family and to be where my roots are. We enjoy living here, and members of my business team would like to be in a place that's warm. It's very appealing to them. For these reasons, I come before you in support of the continuation of the allocation to the Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program. Without investment from here, I cannot justify our company's continued presence here. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present our position to you, and I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Johnson, 3405 Darien Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I'm here today to stand on behalf of the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. I myself have had an idea that has been waiting for a patent, been waiting for a lot of things for a long time. Didn't have the money, didn't have the funds, didn't have the means to understand how to move forward with my idea. I turned myself on with the help of a pastor friend of mine to Lindora Baker here. And she's been helping us understand exactly what to do and how to do. She turned me on to also the president or the director of the Entrepreneur Acceleration Program. And upon talking to him, he's excited about the idea that I have and ready to move forward. And I can't think of a better way to move forward without their help. I definitely need their hands. I need everybody's hands to help me move forward. And if this thing is denied, I can't move forward. I talk to a lot of friends all the time who don't understand why I'm here in Shreveport. They say, there's no opportunities there, man. Why are you there? And I tell them all the time, I say, well, I believe God has me here for a purpose. And so I believe because God has me here for a purpose, I need to move forward with my idea here. And therefore, we can boost the economy here, right here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and boost jobs right here in Shreveport. Because as we begin to boost jobs here, the younger generation will not leave to other places like Atlanta and Dallas and other places where there's better opportunity. So I stand for the funding of Entrepreneur Acceleration Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Hayward Martin, 2911 Centenary Boulevard. I'm a senior at Centenary College, Louisiana, and I'm an intern for the EAP. And this is a great opportunity for me because without the funding, there's no internship. Thank you.
Makes sense. To the point.
My name is Anton Winder. My address is 301 Crockett, the United Jewelers Building, just a couple of blocks from here. I am a native of Shreveport. I lived for 20 years, but moved back in summer of 2013. An opportunity brought me here. An opportunity in my vertical in the tech space brought me back to Shreveport, Louisiana. Never thought I was coming back, but this is a different place than what it was when I left in 1994. And the things that were not attractive to me then are very attractive to me now. And Shreveport is providing all of those things. I just started about 8 months ago my own IT consulting firm, Carthago Strategies. And in the interest of full disclosure, I need to tell everyone that I am a contractor with the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program. But I am here today to urge each of you to vote no and vote against the amendment to defund the EAP. And let me explain why. Since I've been home, the amount of good things that are happening with respect to economic development and growth and job creation in this area are absolutely astounding. And they are unlike anything that I've seen across the country in a city of this size lately. You have CSC bringing close to 2,000 jobs now to the Cyber Innovation Center campus over the next few years. You also have a lot of the defense contractors that are making indications they're going to increase their footprint out at CIC. You have, as you all know, the selling of the Selber building just a couple of blocks from here, and a Fortune 500 firm is bringing a few hundred jobs there. You have a lot of interest all around the city bringing more opportunity and more jobs here. You have the new Louisiana Angel Fund that for the first time is actually organizing the private capital in this area to be available for small businesses and entrepreneurs to now take advantage of in a structured way, in a structured fashion. For the EAP to be defunded at this moment, quite frankly, in my private opinion, would be the equivalency of stepping on a rake at the most inopportune time. The optics of this august body, a deliberative body, going in the opposite direction of what the rest of the market is telling us, that good things are happening here, that jobs are coming here, that capital is organized here, would be absolutely detrimental to the greater good of the efforts that the city of Shreveport and the parish of Caddo are undertaking to make sure that, as the previous gentleman said, we can keep and attract talent here, that we can reverse the brain drain. I myself am a boomerang, and the reason I am back is because I see good things like the AP working to provide new opportunities for people in the creative and knowledge economies. Now, having said all of that, it would seem to me that the last thing you would want to do is to cut off your nose to spite your face. And I really am afraid that that is exactly what the perception is going to be amongst a lot of Caddo Parish. Just this weekend, we had a vote. And Caddo Parish decided that, yes, the EAP and the Biomedical Research Foundation are doing good things. And the fact that that millage issue was voted up, whereas the other issues on the ballot were voted down, lets me know that everybody who voted was educated about what they were voting for. That's all the evidence that I think ultimately you need. Your citizenry, your constituents are letting you know that they are very excited about what's going on here, and they want the government to participate, they want the parish to participate, they want everybody to pull in the same direction. And I would urge you, do not defund the EAP, certainly not at this moment. I would also urge you that if you need independent confirmation, if you need somebody to do some independent reporting, if you need to ask questions about what we do at the EAP, I volunteer myself. Please come to me. I'm happy to speak with any of you to make sure that you have full information in your deliberations. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ty Scroggins, 3224 Midway Avenue. I am a consultant to the Biomed EAP program. We've been very active and involved since December. I've been on board. It is a wonderful cause. I am so happy to be a part of it. I want to convey to you that it is very diverse, very encompassing. I too am a boomerang, which means I was born and raised here and left and went to college. And among my peers, we often discuss and we talk about how so many of us can leave and go right up the street on 20 and do some wonderful things. Well, it's exciting to be a part of this particular venture where we have an opportunity. It feels good to just be able to sit down and talk. As you know, because I've come here in the last year, I am the current reigning minority business champion for the entire state of Louisiana. And so I want you to know that we are represented in Biomed. We are at the table at Biomed. We are afforded the opportunity at Biomed. So I ask that you consider maintaining funding for Biomed, the EAP program, as a business developer. This is an absolute wonderful opportunity for individuals to be able to create. When we talk about economic development, we have to talk about economic development from both the standpoint of creating businesses and retaining businesses. Well, what about the opportunity to be able to have an idea and take it big? What about the one thing that I remember learning when I was getting my MBA is we talk about the concept of having a cluster. You have to have your means of money and resources from more than one pool, one pot. We know about oil and gas, that's wonderful, but can we do something else like healthcare? How about that? Can we do biomedical research? Can we go and get, $20 million or $20 billion from NIH that's available? We're talking about government funding in terms of research. We're also talking about, consumer, commercial. These are the discussions that we're having. These are the avenues that we're talking about. This is what we're doing here. So consider, as a citizen, taxpayer, please consider continuing funding for Biomed EAP program. Thank you.
My name is Patrick Mixon, 2612 DeSoto Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. See, we don't have a whole lot of time, but I'd like to give you the, pardon me?
We'll give you some more time.
I didn't hear you.
We'll give you some more time.
Move for 3 minutes if it's the last speaker.
Second. All right.
Just wanted to give you the benefit of my experience, but I think it's something you should take in consideration. I've been practicing law. I have practiced law for the last 10, 15 years in the area of IP protection, helping small businesses, entrepreneurs. And one of the things I've noticed about Shreveport is I've recently moved here. I brought my talents here to Shreveport, and there's a reason why I brought it here. And I think that I've been rewarded with the fact that when you look around right now, Shreveport has been nationally recognized as having a great community for small businesses and entrepreneurs. In fact, I think that the ranking was #1. So what happens is I do believe that here in Shreveport you have communities, you have groups like the Entrepreneurial Acceleration Program that help to build the types of communities that get the national recognition. So what they do is extremely important. It's extremely important right now in this day and age when small businesses are responsible for creating tax bases, improving your tax base, and creating jobs. So one of the things I'd like for you to do is I'd like to really for you to consider the entrepreneur community as a whole, Shreveport as a whole, when you decide to vote on this ordinance. I think that if you defund the EAP, you're really diminishing your opportunity to find the next Michael Dell or the next Whole Foods, and those can come right here from this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll close, sir. They did refer to the study released by Wallet Hub. I sent it to several of you. And in that study, Shreveport was ranked #1 for best places to start a business. And we continue to do the EAP, create this economic entrepreneurial ecosystem. We will get benefit. Thank you very much.
All right. Next item.
Next, we move to reports, administrative reports.
Dr. Wilson, you up?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, commissioners. I just want to kind of broach the subject about animal bites and how we handle these situations. From the 1st of January up until April 30th, we have had 142 animal bites throughout the community. And we average usually about 520 a year. And we respond because we get called out by either the sheriff department or the city of Shreveport. When an individual goes to the hospital notify us on the bite. So these cases are very complex. It's not as simple as it appears. But certainly, let me have Mr. Harris come before you today to kind of talk to you about how we handle this particular case, because there's always two sides to the story in most cases. Okay?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
On April 27th, we arrived at the 3020 Colquitt Road to follow up on a dog bite. Two young children were outside playing, a young man 6 years old and another young man 11 years old. They stated that a dog had came from a yard that's identified by Mr. Hall, the owner who spoke here earlier, that the dog was digging in the yard, then it came across the street. It chased a 6-year-old kid until he fell, and then it bit him. The 11-year-old pointed and identified where the animal came from, identifying it to the gentleman that's seated in here as his residence. The 11-year-old then went to the little 6-year-old's house to get his mother, and they came back to the residence, and they talked to the owners about the dog bite. We then, assisting the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, came out, secured the dog based on the description. They described a brown and white pit bull. We seized the dog. The dog was not current, at that time, did not have a current vaccination for rabies. So the animal was being stored at Caddo Parish Animal Services and Mosquito Control. A couple days after that, I met with the family in the back, and I spoke with them, making them aware of what's going on with the dog. The gentleman explained to me that the dog in question that we have, there's another dog that resembles it. It looks identical to his dog, and that at one point he even chased the dog because he thought it was his dog. We have canvassed that same neighborhood, and no one has been able to describe or say that there are two dogs that fit that same description. So as we stand right now, we have the dog in our possession. The 6-year-old child and his mother will not recant their statement. They do not want the dog released, and at that point we have to hold it and maintain it in custody because the animal is not current on his rabies.
Okay, Commissioner Bowman, you got a question?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask you, Director Harris, what's the law, excuse me, in regards to that? We're following the law, correct?
Yes, sir. Whenever a child is bitten, we go based on the witness statements. The children accurately described the dog, brown and white,
Yes,
pit
sir.
bull. We followed up on it. They pointed to the direction where it came from, describing it, digging in the yard, and they pointed at the residence. They brought the mother to the residence, and that's the residence where we went, and they did have a dog that fit that exact description, and based on the witness statements and the victim, we had to seize the dog. And the dog was not current on rabies, so that's why we follow state protocol as well as Caddo Parish protocol.
That's all I wanted to know.
Commissioner Dominique?
Were any citations written?
Yes, sir. Running at large and failure to vaccinate.
I guess that'll be prosecuted in district court then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
And for them to get their dog back, what process is going to take?
Once the quarantine period is up, which is 10 days, so they'll come down to Caddo Parish Animal Services and secure the dog. Based on children making statements, I talked to Mr. Hall. I explained to him that I would not charge him any fees to get his dog back, to try to be fair about the process. I knew he was already emotionally distraught based on what had happened, but I told him that I would waive the applicable fees for him to get his dog back.
And at the time of that, will there be an inspection of his yard to make sure that?
Yes, sir. We'll do a follow-up to make sure that everything is in place, to make sure that his dog is not able to exit the house and that he has the right things in place so that we don't have a future incident.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
If they can identify another dog that's actually there in the neighborhood that is similar, looks similar, and they call you, will you go pick it up?
Yes, sir. And we've been policing that neighborhood for the last week, looking for a dog and talking and knocking on all the doors, and we can't find anybody to substantiate what the residents are saying in terms of another dog fitting that description. The dog that we have in question at Animal Services is the only one that we've been able to identify and find.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lynn?
Director Harris, will you go into great detail about the people that have come into your office and recanted their story and said that, no, that's not the dog, that it's the other dog?
Yes, sir. The children didn't come into my office. Mr. Hall stated this stuff that they recanted to him. We have not been able to corroborate that, sir. So I'm not aware of anybody recanting anything as far as I know. I have not talked to the children or their parents.
The child's mother did not come up there?
She did come up there. She talked to Mr. Chuck Wilson, and she did not want the dog released. She stated that to Mr. Chuck Wilson, that I do not want the dog released, and I'm not going to support releasing it because the dog bit her son.
Did she come up there initially to say that it wasn't the dog, and then Chuck pulled her in the back and she changed her mind, or did she come up there to just flat out say that that's the dog?
So I believe you would have to ask the mother of the child that specific question because I can't speak for her.
I mean, my belief is that if that is the dog and everybody is confident that that is the dog, why are we not charging them the boarding fee and giving them all the tickets?
Well, sir, if you want me to, I have no problem with reversing that decision, and I can charge him $210 if that's your will.
Well, my personal belief is if I'm guilty, write me the ticket. If I'm not guilty, don't say, well, we're not going to write you the ticket, but you're guilty.
I didn't say that we're not going to write him the ticket, so I just said that I would waive the applicable fees associated with him picking the animal up at Animal Services. He will still have to go to court, and if found guilty, he will have to pay court costs and applicable fees that the judge sets forward.
Is that something that you offer to every citizen that says they don't think that that was their dog that got bit?
No, sir. In this particular situation, I was just trying to be friendly toward the person because I understood him having a hard time processing this. I have no problem with reassessing it and charging him the fees, if that's your will, sir.
I don't know. It almost seems like we're wrong and we'll compensate you by
No, sir.
not charging you is what it looks like to me, or just charge them. Anyway, that's back to the chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What district is happening? What district is?
Initially, it was believed to be in Commissioner Jim Smith's district. I spoke with Commissioner Smith and made him aware of what was going on with a public safety issue in his community, but I later found out that it belonged to Commissioner Cox's district.
I like your compassion to the situation, that at least you had a compassion for the family. Saying, look, I'll waive the fee, and we just work together. So
yes, sir.
You know, I commend you on your wisdom to be able to have some compassion when people come to your office. You know, a very sensitive situation at that time. You took matters and evaluated the situation before it became catastrophic at the facility. So, you know, I appreciate the work you do. And would you make them aware of the policies, the ordinance, when dogs are bitten? Did you get them a copy of the ordinance and the policy with regards to retaining a dog back when it's bitten? When they came up, or did you give them that?
No, sir. The officer does that on the scene. When they give them an order of quarantine, they're briefed at that point as to everything they need to do in terms of retrieving their animal.
But what about the ordinance? Did they get a copy of what our ordinance
Yes, sir. It's stated in that.
So they're fully aware. So here again, appreciate the heads up, you know, and hopefully we can build a better public relation and communication. Not every time come up on the defensive, trying to target our director as doing something wrong. We need to move beyond this and find out that we have to engage and work together. There was a lot of good work done today, I would hear in the committee. Those are things we need to be talking about. Not saying we should not discuss and have dialogue about anything that's going on in the community. Some of that can be resolved at your office and not up here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Escudero.
Two people that have identified the dog that did see the dog.
Yes, sir.
An 11-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Yes, sir.
No chance they could be confused.
I mean, sir, you know, 11 and 6-year-old were adamant at the initial stage when interviewed that the animal came from that particular yard. So we went with their initial statement. But I do understand the pressures that are put on children, and if given enough information, you could cloud their judgment. You say, hey, there's another dog that looks like it, and all of a sudden the child is confused. They're not adults. But we had to have the parents involved to make sure that they're children, because they know their children. And we have to go based on the parents' assessment along with the child to say if the child's credible or not. It's a judgment call. But what we have to do, because rabies are fatal, is secure that animal to make sure that the community is safe.
Understand that. Could be like even adults have a hard time that are victim of a crime or robbery, because in the time you're emotional, you're excited, you're panicked, you're scared, being able to recall the description of the perpetrator. So I could see how this could get clouded. So you have to basically take the parent's word of two juveniles and make a guess call. Okay, how long is the dog going to be a POW?
Until this Thursday, sir.
Till this Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've cited them for no rabies tags?
Yes, sir, and at
running
large.
at large?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No what's the ordinance? Is it a fine? Is it a crime not to have your dog rabies vaccinated?
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
I'm just asking. I'm asking him.
Well, I was answering.
I don't need an attorney to talk out of turn. Enough attorneys in the world.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've cited them with running at large.
Yes, sir.
How are you sure that was the dog that was running at large?
Based on the witness statement, sir.
Oh, so you're going to go ahead? I understand quarantine the dog is a public safety measure. You know, you err on the side of caution.
Yes, sir.
You can't definitively say that that's the dog, that the dog was running at large. You didn't see it. You have two juveniles see it. Their parents didn't see it. You don't think maybe to me, that charge is kind of hard to prove in court.
Yes, sir. That's why it'll be up to a judge to weigh the information based on the officer's testimony, the victim, and the witnesses.
Well, you're
That's what a
assuming-
judge will
you're
assume, sir.
assuming
We
that the
just
dog's
prosecute.
guilty.
We don't prosecute. We basically enforce the laws that the commission has set forth on the books. We have to go by it. If it's a gray area in there, sir, we determine it, the outcome come out in the court system. We don't adjudicate it.
Well, I understand that. You know, but how can you do that with, based on the testimony of two children? How can you say the dog was running at large? I understand, but let's say it wasn't the right dog. So let's say it's the wrong dog. That's fine. I understand holding him, making sure that he passes the rabies test. There's no threat to anybody's health. I understand that. That's just an unfortunate fact of what happens in these cases.
Yes, sir.
But to charge him with the other when there's so much doubt, I just think that was, you should charge him with the rabies tag. You know that's for sure, and you should hold the dog until Thursday. You know that's the prudent thing to do. The rest of it, only God knows if you want to get right down to it. So I'm just saying, maybe that charge is a little bit excessive,
But if the dog is not at large, sir, if it's on a leash, based on the ordinance that are on the books, we have to have the dog charged at large because it was not on a leash when it bit the child.
You don't know that. You don't know it is the dog. In fact, it is the dog. You're just charging him. You're accusing them. You don't know anything for a fact, so you don't have to do anything now, do you? Unless you're reasonably sure that you need to act. And in this case, there's some question. Now, I think out of a little bit of common sense, the thing that should have been dealt with is the public health issue. Take the dog into custody, you make sure he's okay, you let the rest of it go, because you can't prove it.
Yes, sir. Well, the officers
Well, let me finish. It's very possible this will go to court, and it could go either way.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to know whether it was their dog or not.
Yes, sir.
That's a terrible thing.
Yes, sir.
For the owners, not so much for the dog. I'm sure, I know you're taking good care of the dog. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Evans.
Mr. Harris, I believe we're in desperate need of funds at the animal shelter, and I don't think you should abate those charges.
Right.
So if you would, in my opinion, anybody that comes through there, whatever the situation is, implement the charges.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Cox, second time.
Real quick, I agree with Mr. Epperson. Years ago, and whether it be this set of owners or somebody else, how many did you say we've had so far this year?
142.
142 bite cases.
Yes, sir.
Owners need to understand that ordinances are fixing to be passed here that's going to make it a little bit tougher. And if you want to own a dog, you need to be a better owner. Now, whether there's this is the dog, it isn't a dog, it's not up for you to decide, it's up for the court to decide. You did your job. You wrote, your people wrote the report up. You took the statements. You are not judge and executioner. You are the person that holds us and puts our policies in play.
Yes, sir.
You did that, or your people did that in this case. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You did not find out till after the fact he did not have rabies shots.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Strike one. Strike two is that if you have two kids playing outside and they see a dog break and run, pretty much, it's a small neighborhood, probably. I haven't been there. I looked it up on Google a minute ago. Okay. Is there a chance that there's another dog over there? Possibly. But wouldn't you think more people would see that dog running at large? We know where every dog in my neighborhood is.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Especially if I live in that neighborhood. So, I would like people to understand that when these new ordinances are coming out, they're gonna bite. And people that wanna own dogs, they need to understand that, fees will not be held back. Penalties will not be held back. Everybody wants everything for the animal community now. Well, to do that, you have to be a responsible owner, and then we have to take that money and put it back into where we want to make our animal control either grow or sustain and do better for the community. So,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Commissioner Bowman. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say, as Commissioner Escudé said, of course, it's left up to the judge in that part, but I'm totally in agreement with Commissioner Epperson and Commissioner Cox as it relates to enforcement of that law, because not just for this case, but for any other case, if we're at fault, or if I'm the citizen, I'm at fault, as far as, that it wasn't detained. Therefore, that's the liability, so we have to go forth with that. And it's just a part of us, like we said, we just passed the ordinances. We have to enforce that in which we're doing. So you're doing your job in that manner, and so don't back down from that part, and we just let the court handle the other piece. But that in which is right, and that's the law, we're going to go ahead and go with that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's it from the commissioners. Dr. Wilson, you have anything else on the report?
That's for my report. Thank you.
That's
Mr.
it?
President. I appreciate it. Great job.
You said yes?
That's it, sir.
Okay. Next item?
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Commissioner Williams.
I just want to report that on Monday, that was a sponsor summit held at Riverview Hall, and they expected about 1,500 people showed up. It was well structured and organized. Commend the two new generation commissioners, Ms. Watson and Mr. Bowman, who did an outstanding job, and Mr. Woodrow, and the entire inclusive private and public sector who helped put that on. Done a real fantastic job. So all the confusion about how to be educated about how to fill out an expungement form with our clerk of court and others was well informed on Monday. And also there was a job fair. Those are the three things that we need to be discussing in America. Reducing crime in America, because Caddo Parish ranked number 3 in the state. Demographically, there are 797 inmates that are African American that look like me that are in prison for nonviolent offense. 285 are white and 1% of others. We are the incarceration capital of the world. We rank number 1 in that in a state this size. That ain't good. So what we're saying, we have to reconsider and be smart in how we look at justice reform in this city, in this state, and in this country. That quick fix and locking people up just don't work no more. Tough on crime. Let's be smart on crime. It costs the taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. They even vote on Wall Street where companies take over prison just to make money. They warehouse people and send them to other jail like horses and label. That is wrong. It ain't nothing but a new modern day slave. That's what all jail is. And most people that are in there are people of African American color, disproportionate. Look up the numbers. Numbers tell the truth. Look at the percentages. Look at the facts. That is the truth. Got pre-trial detainees in that prison right now. They can't afford a $150 bond. Why are they being locked up for nonviolent offense? We need to look at it. We need to look at another set of eyes. How we lock people up in America. We only 5% of the world population, 25% of our people are locked up in this country. African Americans are only 13% of the population, and 40% of them are locked up in prison. Who's making the money? The prosecutor, the lawyer, the defense lawyer? Who's making the money off our people? That is wrong. That is wrong. So we need to look at it from a different set of eyes in this state. We ain't got money for education. We don't have money for health care, but we got money for jails and prisons.
And that is wrong. We send the wrong message to the rest of the country. No wonder we got poverty, welfare, dropout, people uneducated, people ignorant, because they're being locked up for stupid crimes. Drug charges, strike through you out on smoking a blunt or have a joint in your car. That is the most outdated policy I've ever seen in my life. We know who their targets. People are brown and black in this state. Who's making the money? Who's making the profits off of the sweat and the hard-earned taxpayers? Who's footing the bill? Taxpayers. So that's why we have to have programs like expungement summit, better relationship with our police officers so the kids won't have to go to jail. And we need to look at juvenile and adult justice reform in this state. While the rest of the country is moving forward, we're still behind, way back in the woods, still trying to lock people up and throw away the key just to make money. The jail swapping, prison swapping, prisoner swapping. And we know what's coming with that prison? It comes money. Ching ching. Who's benefit? So we need to find that out, Mr. Woodrow. What is our average, in terms of our average upkeep in the jail? I need to know the demographics. I hope my figures are right. I looked them up a week ago. It might have changed since then. How much it costs to profit an inmate in that jail? What is the full capacity of that jail? A jail ain't nothing but a retaining facility till they go to prison. Pre-trial detainee. Before they go to jail, before they go to prison, they go to court and be sentenced. That's not right. People are afraid to talk up. Even people elected are afraid to talk up. People that own churches are afraid to talk up. People that head organizations are afraid to talk up. But this is wrong. That's why our country is being bankrupt. That's why this state is being bankrupt, because of what they're doing. We need to find a better way to put people back to work. And when they re-enter back into the community, they can go to work and be entrepreneurs and create a job and provide for the family, become taxpayers. Let's put warehousing people, and at least taking care of all these people, they making money, and the families and the community suffering. We cannot be afraid to speak up and speak out about this inhumane benefit to make money, and we need to find a way to humanize the way we treat people in this country. I think one of the best programs to get started, and the key component is expungement summit, giving people a second chance. So, did a great job. Hope the next year to be even better. Thank you.
Commissioner Evans.
CBO-NGO committee meeting immediately following today's work session. That's all.
Commissioner Bowman.
Like that.
I just want to say that the Animal Services Committee met today, and as far as it relates to the committee members itself, after a year and a half of hard work, we passed the animal ordinances, proposed changes. So I just want to put that good news out. Thank you, Mr. President, and everyone.
Commissioner Land.
This past Saturday, we picked up a bunch of trash in Dixie Garden. I was curious if Mr. Glass had a total of our poundage. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to piggyback on Commissioner Williams and talking about the expungement summit that we held on last Monday. It was a great event for the citizens of Shreveport, Bossier City. In spite of the bad weather, I think that it was a great event, and people proved that they wanted change from all walks of life. And I want to make sure that next year that we reach out even more and do more advertisement in advance so that more people can know about the event, and to also realize that this is Caddo Parish that is putting this on. The commissioners, I thank each of you for all of your input and entrusting Gerald and I to carry out this vision. And we just want to make sure that we are here for all people, not just for some people, and to let them know that they are welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
One more comment. Let me just, Chairman. The young man,
Williams.
The young man talked about the gun facility, 8 acres. I mean, too often, I like what you said. Too often, young people, especially young American young boys, do a lot of killing with guns, black on black crime with guns and drugs. And oftentimes, it's because of lack of education, lack of training, lack of informed use and abuse of a weapon, and the consequences for shooting somebody. You know, guns don't kill people, people kill people with guns. So that's why we need more training and more education to prevent gun violence in America. With the state of what's going on in America, you have to be armed and equipped because of crime in America. I do understand that. But this black on black crime must stop and cease. The only way it can happen is if they have the proper training and the education and the tools and the resources that you're doing. You know, I haven't always been on the side of guns, and I'm not going to say I am, but I am an advocate of education and working together with the NRA. I am worked with Ken and I to work years ago. We had so much gun violence in this community. With drop your guns, to take guns out of hands of irresponsible people. We did that, and it curbed some of the gun violence in America. But if you were to look at statistically, gun violence is still alive and well in this country. And we need to work with the NRA and with groups like yours to educate and inform these young people how important it is not to take guns as a play toy. But there's so much social media, video games, BET and social media to show what killing is acceptable. And it's propaganda. When you prey on people that are ignorant, uneducated, especially in this state ranked number 48 in the nation, people think doing wrong is right and doing right is wrong. That's not good for our community. That's not good for our state. So I encourage us to look at what this gentleman has to offer. I believe it could be a win-win for everybody in our community, especially the people that live in urban America that see so much violence promoted with rap music and those things, to say that guns are not something to play with. It's not a toy. And there are consequences for using a gun illegal in the wrong way. I commend you on your effort to try to find some common ground to work with our young people and work with the community. So I hope we support that.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
President's report.
Yes, Thursday. Thank you.
Next, we move to old business, authorize appointment, reappointment to NPC Zoning Board of Appeals.
What about,
Move it Thursday.
what about the Pine Hill Waterworks, number 7? Did we miss that?
That's just an informational deal to let me know that that is coming up.
Okay, okay.
On information, we have a motion on the floor.
Well, I was trying to get, who made the motion?
Mr. Epperson.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Epperson, seconded by
Bowman now.
Bowman, okay.
Move them both to Thursday.
Yes, to move
Appointments.
the appointments to Thursday, right?
Right.
Okay, let's vote.
Under old
Well, Ms. Baker has a question.
I want to make a substitute motion to remove this from the agenda.
Second.
What?
Okay. We have a substitute motion to remove this from the agenda. Been
think
moved by
Baker put
Commissioner
it
Baker and seconded by Commissioner Lynn.
Thank
See no one that wants to discuss that issue? You want to discuss it as the maker?
No, sir.
All right, let's vote. That passes 11-1 to take it off the agenda.
Next, we move to new business, authorize introduction of ordinance number 5479, setting general purpose millages and special purpose millages, instruct the tax assessor to include said millage on tax payroll for 2015.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Dominique.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Williams.
Erica, this is the, can I talk?
Well, I got to recognize you first.
Okay.
As the maker of the motion.
Well, you better tighten up over there. Erica, all these ordinances, I think 5479, 5480, there may be another one on here. These are just standard ordinances that we do each and every year that we're required by law to do, correct?
They're required in order to assess the millages for incidents.
They're not an increase in any taxes whatsoever. We're not increasing taxes.
No, sir. You're adopting the same millages you're adopting last year.
Do what now?
They're the same millages we've adopted since, you adopted last year.
Okay. I have no other questions. I was just trying to let everybody know.
Are we global though?
I would like to make a substitute motion to amend ordinance 5479 to remove the biomed millage of 1.74 mils. If I can get a second. Okay. Looking at our last handout that we got from Biomed, they've basically utilized about $2 million or more a year, giving us about $40 million in property taxes over the time frame. In that time frame, basically they've created 400 acres of brownfields area, 24 tenants, 12 facilities. They have some major projects that they worked on. One being the board that oversees University Health Hospital System, which is recently the Center for Molecular Imaging and Therapy. The EAP program falls up under this tax millage, which was coming up on the agenda a little bit later. The new Louisiana Angel Fund 1, the Digital Media Institute, which we funded from the very beginning, and then Adventures. So it seems to me that there's some double dipping of taxpayers' money. It's a good concept, but it shouldn't cost the taxpayers $2 million a year to do what they're doing. You know, I looked at I broke down the precincts in District 2, and the ones that the constituents that went and voted in District 2 voted against it. They didn't go along with the total number as of the parish. And I look at each commissioner to look at your precincts to see how they were either favorable or against this particular tax. So today I asked for us to move it. We can further discuss it Thursday. But today I ask for your support to move it to Thursday. That's all I have. Commissioner Thibodeau.
My question was answered.
Okay.
What is your motion again? Explain it.
My motion is to amend the ordinance to remove the biomed millage of 1.74 mills. When you look at the ordinance, it breaks down all the different mills, and so that last, I think it's the next to last paragraph talks about biomed.
Okay, what do you mean by remove it?
It will not be charged by the tax assessor.
We can't do that.
Can't do that. I think we can.
That's about election.
The voters voted this tax. We have to determine the rate, whether we're going to let it roll forward or hold. That's the people have spoken. We can't eliminate a tax that went for parish-wide referendum.
Ms. Bryant?
Commissioners, the citizens have given you all the authorization to assess various millages. And each year, you all have to adopt the millages, which means you're saying, I'm going to assess those millages. If you don't adopt the millage, it means that it will not be assessed against the taxpayers for that year. The next year, you can come back and assess it or not assess it. It's each taxing body gets to determine, just like right now, we're adopting the millages and we're adopting the same millages. There's no increase. But you could elect to change it and decrease it. You can't increase it because that will be rolling forward, and there's a process you have to go through to roll forward.
Right.
But you could adjust your millages. In this case, if this were to pass like this, you would be assessing all your millages except the biomed millage.
We can't.
Which I understand that the taxpayer said they would like this millage to be assessed, but it did comes back to this body to actually do it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bryant, for clearing that up. Commissioner Lynn.
Director Bryan, I would like for the publicity to be that we're adopting the same millages as we adopted in, what was it, all the way back to 2008. We have rolled back every single year since 2008 or 2007. What?
We haven't rolled forward for the last two is April.
Long time.
10 or 15 years.
Right, and so that to the press and to the cameras, Caddo Parish has rolled back taxes for the last 14 years. Now, I'm not going to support that amendment because the people have spoken. We have a process that we go through. Whoever wants to vote shows up and votes. Those people showed up and voted, and that millage for the biomed passed. And I am going to vote the same way the majority of people voted that voted for this tax. They voted for the tax. I'm not going to go against the public of Caddo Parish and say we're not going to assess a tax that you asked us to assess. And the fact that Caddo Parish has rolled back taxes, and so other entities, you can roll forward and you go to a newer tax assessment, and thus they collect more money from the taxpayer. Caddo Parish has not increased their taxes taken in for the past 14 years. And I think that that speaks a great volume for this entire body. And I'm going to just stick with what the people voted on, and I will vote against this amendment. That's all. Back to you, Mr. President.
Mr. Williams.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your comments, I believe you stated some facts, which I agree. But however, I've been on this journey when biomed was first initiated back in 1994 or 6 or whatever. We flew around the country trying to bring some new innovative, fresh new ideas, high technology, science, research jobs to our community. Too often we be doing business as usual. It's no longer acceptable. We can't afford to do things like we did in 1992 like we do now. We live in a fiber optic, robotic, technological society. And we need to learn to engage and lift our people up that live in our district to recognize that we don't do the same old, I'm not saying some of the same old traditional small mom and pop business are not great, but to be able to accelerate and be able to engage and have more consumer power, you need to be diversified. I asked the EAP to be inclusive. It's a very diverse, inclusive group of people today from all walks of life, from all universities. They came up and said, EAP has helped us. I asked that. I recommended to this. He did it by choice, not by force. He's a great director. He tried to work and engage. He's a colonel that served in our military. And he knows what diversity is all about because he served in the United States military and worked with billions and billions of dollars of contractors. He understands the importance of the horseshoe around here, how important it is. And also, the people had spoken. I believe in a majority minority. And the people said they won. They spoken. And I may not always agree with everything that's going on with biomed, but I believe, and as the people said, let's move forward. Moving forward. That would be our slogan in Caddo, moving forward. To have a better quality of life and quantity of life and creating jobs and opportunity, because entrepreneurship is the backbone of America. They create the jobs. Those are the jobs of the future. So we got to have something for our children to maintain and sustain and make them want to stay in this city and parish we call Caddo Parish. So I'm going to support the move to Thursday, but also I'm going to support it to move it for the rest of our life. And so I think we're on the right track. You know, venture capital, they're always out there. We got an angel fund, we got public and private partnerships to work together, be inclusive, and that's what this community needs. We shouldn't have the have and the have not. Let's find a way to close that gap. We're going to have more haves. We're going to have so much crime go down. Economic opportunity be better. So we need to learn to let people have a piece of the pie of the American dream. How do you do that? Do that through the entrepreneur spirit. And I'm glad to see them break off and do something different what they're doing in Austin. Very forward thinking. People prosper with a vision and they perish without a vision. So biomed entrepreneurs do have a vision, and that vision is, hey, let's be inclusive and make sure that we include Grambling, Southern, Louisiana Tech, and Northwestern, and some of our schools with digital media. These are bringing good paying jobs. You're not going to have instant gratification. It's going to take a little time for it to materialize. So everything I asked of that body to do, and I want to be in the best interest of the constituent in District 3, to make sure we get maybe more public relation at the grassroots. And I say that's why we need to advertise more in the North Caddo Citizen and the Shreveport Sun and others, let them know about all the good things that are going on, because a lot of times people just don't know. They're not informed about the opportunities until Ms. Taye came on board and she got the message out to everybody. So I commend you for retaining someone of her expertise and the other gentlemen that are working to make sure we don't want them just to be here just a face of biomed. We want to make sure that they're contracted with biomed as well, and don't bring them up at just a time for a vote and they're actually not getting a contract, because you're gonna have a problem with me then. So we need to make sure they're just not a figurehead or a figure face to bring before the commission just to lobby our votes. So we hope that that's not been done there. I hope that that you will be very inclusive and make sure that you show the diversity right here. We may be the majority demographically, but we still the minority economically. So we need to work on making sure we are the majority in both. So let's work on that. Thank you for all the work you've done over the years. We're proud of what you do, and hopefully we can bring more jobs and opportunities to Shreveport. Thank you.
Commissioner Dominique.
What was the motion was to remove the biomed millage of how much?
1.74 mils.
Is this all, Donna, is this all the millage that the biomed receives from Caddo Parish?
I believe that's correct. I defer to Ms. Bryant.
That's all the village. Now, just to let you know, Commissioners, the commission does receive a small portion of that millage.
And if we remove the 1.74, did you say million?
Meals.
Meals, okay. What legal ramification would we have? I don't think we've ever done this before. I mean, are we going to start removing millages for fire districts, for other entities? I mean, what would be a legal ramification, if you don't mind?
Commissioner, I have never had that question. I will have the answer for you by Thursday.
I see there being some problems. I would urge us not to vote for this substitute motion, but to go forward with our original motion, which is just to set it as it has been. We have not rolled forward, really haven't rolled back. It's just been everything pretty much neutral. Everything has stayed the same. I think we need to continue to do this. I think we need to continue to fund the biomed. The people have voted on this before. They just didn't ask for it to be renewed. If we take it out, then we're going to kill biomed, whatever probably they're doing with the LSU hospital out there. I mean, I can't vote to do this. I think that we need to vote to the original motion and move that one forward.
Commissioner Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Bryant, what millage is our juvenile services operating on?
There's a separate millage for juvenile services, but there's also, when I spoke of the portion, the biomed millage, there's a small portion of various commission millages that are dedicated to criminal justice, and biomed has one of those, and those monies also are used to support juvenile justice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've heard the offense to leave it the same way, but let me tell you something else. One thing that they talk about is they get $7 private sector for $1 public sector. So if you remove that $1, they still gonna get some investment money. If you go to University Health, they have been laying off people and not hiring people. So when this millage was first put in, it wasn't even a part of the hospital. They assumed the hospital when it went private. So that doesn't have anything to do with, really the taxpayers didn't have a say-so in that when they assumed the responsibility of the hospital. So I just want to let you to think about it, and you got into Thursday, and just move it to Thursday, to think about it. Thank you. Commissioner Escudé.
I think that I understand what you're saying, and though when biomed was originally created, I don't think there was their thought or anybody's thought that they would end up in the management role of University Health. Since governor seemed hell-bent on getting rid of all the hospitals that are state-funded, they stepped up to the plate. The alternatives to them being able to step up to the plate were not good. As I read now, they're considering working with Oster's out of New Orleans, even strengthen that organization and make it better. They may be laying off people right now. That doesn't mean they're going to not hire them back. We don't know what their census numbers are right now. We don't know what their patient load is. We don't know any of those kind of things. One thing, we'd rather have them running the hospital than to have had it closed or had it taken over by Baton Rouge or run out of Baton Rouge or something like that.
So closing.
And although that aspect and that function may have not been part of their original duties, I think, and I have confidence that most of the people that went to the polls Saturday and voted to renew this millage are well aware of the fact that they're running the hospital. And they did that knowing that. So I'm very comfortable with continuing to adjust the millage and let them continue to do their own work. You know, the consequences to doing something without knowing what effect it would have would be foolish on our part. And I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want to bear that burden. Thank you.
Commissioner Evers.
Ms. Bryant, I think Ms. Watts may have been alluding to, the deficit that we have at the Juvenile Detention Center that we've been operating under since the 1950s. What percentage is that? And that's running anywhere from 2.8 to 3 million, right?
Correct, sir. Right now, the operating deficit that you fund is about $3 million.
Ma'am?
Currently, the operating deficit that we're funding is about $3 million.
And that's the millage we've been operating since the inception of the center in the 1950s, right?
That's Correct.
Also been
That's the same one.
Okay, that's different.
Finish.
That's all.
Commissioner Cox.
Call for the question.
Second.
Thank you. Question has been called by Commissioner Cox, seconded by Commissioner Lynn. Let's vote on calling the question.
You just heard me say thank you.
Ain't gonna be on no people in high school. Bowman, there you go. That passes the call for the question. Now, the substitute motion, we'll vote on that first.
What is the reading?
Will you repeat the substitute motion?
Okay. The substitute motion would be to amend ordinance 5479 to remove the biomed millage of 1.74 mils. Let's vote. That fails 5-7. And we move to the motion. Original motion, which is as it reads.
So moved.
All right,
So
I'm
motion
sorry,
made. Yes, it has to, no discussion. Let's vote. Bowman.
We got.
Wake up, baby bird.
That passes 9-2. Next item.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5480 of 2014, stating parish millage for the purpose of paying principal and interest due in 2015 on outstanding parish bond issues, and instruct the assessor to include said millage on tax roll.
So moved.
Thursday. Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Williams.
Mike?
Commissioner Thibodeau.
Yeah, I'd like to in Globo, 5481 with 5480,
So moved.
and also 5482.
81.
80, 81, 82.
Right, 80, 81, 82.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, seconded by Commissioner Baker to englobo ordinances 5480, 5481, and 5482. See no one that wants to speak on that, let's move, let's vote. That passes 12-0.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5483, amending budget investment revenues and expenditures for Riverboat Fund for the year 2015 to provide an appropriation of $20,000 for Intercity Entrepreneurial Institute.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, seconded by Commissioner Watts.
That's yours. Moving on Thursday.
Move to Thursday. That's what we, yeah, we're moving it to Thursday. Let's vote. I see no one that wants to speak.
You got your glasses on? Put your specs on.
That passes 8-4.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5484, amending budget investment revenues and expenditures for Economic Development Fund.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, seconded by Commissioner Lynn. See no one that wants to speak on that. Let's vote. Next item.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5485 to lease a portion of the property commonly referred to as Morrisville landfill.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner
Second.
Dominique.
Just an
seconded by,
explanation.
Bowman.
I said second.
The maker of the motion.
Speak.
Maker of the motion.
Okay. Andre, can you come up? You here?
Yeah.
I know that, just want to give y'all some history on this. Mr. Hall and I have been speaking for this about a year. I asked him to talk to Mr. Whittington about, I don't know, 8 months, maybe a year ago about this, about the gun range. The property that they're talking about is the old landfill around Morningsport area, if I'm correct. Is that correct, Andre?
Yes, sir.
The question I have is, no one told me, I had no idea about this ordinance being on the agenda today until I saw Mr. Hall. I think it's a great deal, but I'd like to know how much we're going to charge him, how long this lease is going to be, those type of things.
Right now, we're in the process of working. We've talked to him. Doug have gone out and talked to him about it. We're going in the process what exactly would be the proper rate to charge him on this. We're working with them. It's something that we definitely want to make happen. So
Seems like we need to have that done before we pass this ordinance. We need to get that done before this ordinance is passed. Probably even before it's recommended. I mean, normally this would go to the Park and Recreation Committee. He would give us a presentation and then we would okay that. That's how that should have probably worked out. I don't know if everybody's.
I agree.
I think that, I mean, Matthew, has anybody said anything to you about this?
No, this is the first time I've ever seen this, and I was going to do my diligence between now and Thursday, but for this to get on here, first off, I don't know why it says Parks and Recreation on this as far as the sponsor goes, because this has never gone through Parks and Recreation. And we can fix it. Mr. Hopkins, did you put that on there?
Yeah, I put that on there, but I believe there was some discussion in a committee meeting.
I think it was.
I'd like to see the vote on that.
I'd like to, and of course, I still have the floor, and I'd like to get it back, but I'm on the Park and Recreation Committee. I don't remember anything about it. I think it's a great idea. Casey, I support you 100% because I know what's going on. It's just that we have 11 commissioners here that's going to have a question. Because the money's going to be, you're going to charge, first thing I asked you was, well, how much are you getting this for? You don't know. Usually when it comes to this position, we know how much you're paying and how long. I don't want this thing to get passed and it be passed for 5 years and you be ticked off at me because you're wanting 20 years. We need to know that ahead of time. Right. So I think at this point, if everybody's okay, I would ask that it be moved forward and it'd give us another 2 weeks. Hopefully we can have a Park and Recreation Committee meeting before then, maybe at our next workshop. Mr. Hall, you can come give us a presentation, but we want to know. Andre, we want to know how much it's going to be, and hopefully it's not going to be a lot, because I think this is an economic benefit for our area, and it's going to be a great thing, because what he's going to be doing is, teaching the kids about gun safety, about how to shoot rifles and guns and things like that. It's something that's much needed in our area. I think it'd be great for our area. But also, I don't know if y'all caught, but in case he didn't tell you this, I asked him if he's doing this for free. He doesn't make any money. This is a nonprofit corporation. It's for the kids. And eventually it's their idea to do a nice real gun range where private members will pay a fee. Those fees will be able to use to defer the cost of the kids. Huh?
Giving up his presentation.
So, anyway, that's kind of where it's at. We haven't got a presentation. I think that's what we should hear.
Yeah.
So I'd ask for everybody to just kind of move this forward. And if Matthew and Andre, y'all get together and see if we can't call a meeting before we have a final vote to get this thing knocked out. You'll probably have to come down here at a committee meeting back there, and you can get Todd to coordinate with you, okay?
Ask today.
I second the motion.
I have the same concerns. Is this a park?
No, sir, it's not a
What are you
park.
doing messing with it?
Well, it's a parish property. Like I said, it's an old landfill. It's parish
I know
property.
exactly what it is. Why are you
Well,
heading this up?
we were contacted. This is something that we wanted to do. We were just trying to see, as our department, we want to try to offer a program like this, but we don't have.
Okay.
The,
Is that park
staff.
property?
Sir.
Is that park property?
No, it's parish property.
Okay, then I'm trying to figure out how the ball got passed to you.
Passed to me because
The administration, did they direct this, or we're negotiating
no, they
land
did not.
leases
They
and all?
They did not direct us. What we did was coming to a meeting, talking to the gentleman about the idea of doing it. What has happened is I did not go the right process. I went to the lawyer to see about the possibility of how we could do this, and we should have brought it to committee. So I would take the burden of that, and we will make sure that it would go through the right way. But it is something we definitely want. We already have a archery program that we provide. The gentleman also said that he wants to do archery. It's something that we feel is very needed in the community, just like Commissioner Dominique said.
Okay, good. I'm glad you feel that way. and that's really not neither here nor there. This does need to go to committee.
Yes, sir. I said
Okay.
I'll take the
Well,
549.
I guess the
and I will make
administration,
sure that it'll go the
administration
correct
put
way.
this on the agenda, requested?
Parks did, Parks and Recreation.
No, sir.
I didn't do it, and I have
Apparently
to
there's-
authorize it.
No, sir. Apparently you made a mistake on this commission yesterday. It should have went to committee. Because I usually, when I bring it to committee, I have someone sponsor, one of you all sponsor it. So we didn't do that in this
According to the
case.
charter, the administrator or a commissioner can put stuff on the ballot like this or a recommendation of the committee.
Yeah, I'm aware of that,
Not a
sir.
department director, department head.
Right, I'm aware of that.
Unless something's changed. Did I miss something?
No.
Okay. Yeah, this needs to go to committee, and I don't know that we've got enough time to be able to get this done in an adequate manner, because I've got questions. Does this property have any other possible use, commercial use, that could be used to create jobs or something? I'm not trying to kill his idea, I'm just saying there's a lot of questions. What else can it be used for? What type of landfill is it? Is its future there? You know, and as Commissioner Dominic said, what's the lease agreement? What's the length of time? What's the amount? What are the insurance requirements going to be? What's our liability? What's the termination clause if we come up with a better lease? All these things need to be asked. So, you know, go back to committee, but I think we're rushing this because it's been my experience. Once we lease land like this, you know, it generally stays, you know, for a long, long time. And once we answer these questions, then the gentleman can make a decision. Somebody may come 2 years from now and say, hey, we want to build something out here that qualifies, you know, for Brownsfield or something. And we say, oh, well, it's good, it's going to create a whole bunch of jobs and some buildings and all. And we may have to boot him out. He needs to know these things. But for us to decide, I need to know what the possibilities are for future use of that property. Thank you.
Commissioner Cox.
President, can I make a motion, since I was raising my, I think that, to save some time.
I made a I was second, I supposed second.
Got Cox first, and then Epperson, and then Williams. Get on the board.
My motion, I was gonna make a substitute motion to pull this until it can go to the proper committee.
Second.
And all of the questions be answered before it comes back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If I can get a second.
Second.
I think I
Got
got
a
a second.
second
Mr.
over there.
Epperson.
I still want to.
Got
I'm
it.
good.
Got a motion from Commissioner Cox to table this, a second by Commissioner Epperson.
That wasn't what it was, motion was not to table it.
Not to table.
He said table, he said postpone it.
Postpone.
Till it goes to committee.
Right.
Hand it to committee.
So I'm gonna clear the screen. Now, Commissioner Williams.
I just want to say, Mr. Henry, I don't fault you for not following proper protocol. I do feel that you, as a director, being in that position, know you usually take the normal steps. But I think most of the commissioners, and you have the courage to say, I accept personal responsibility. I appreciate that. But we shouldn't ball people out because of that. And if there is another need for this property, it always could be negotiated a clause in the contract. If there's for economic, we can put that language in the contract. But to not say that at least you have a vision to do things in our community, you're very progressive, to do something in the best interest of our children and public safety. I commend you for having a vision to work with that. And you know, our community ain't big on guns anyway.
I am.
I'm a strong Democrat. I'm somewhat moderate when it comes to guns, but this is a great idea to be inclusive and ensure our young people about guns, safety in our community. If it's more, our logo is Sportsman Paradise. They give you a gun in Louisiana. You know, so I'm saying let's not sit here and ball our directors out because it brings something before us, even though it wasn't, you know, properly channeled through the proper channel. But his heart was in the right place. And that's what's important. So you're right, it should go back to committee, make a wise, intelligent decision about how we should utilize it properly. At the time being, let's utilize it what it's for, and it come to the point where we need to do something else different, he wouldn't know up front that we may have to find another way to use this property. So, you know, man, I commend you and keep up the good work.
Let's vote on the substitute motion. Thank God. Bowman.
Man, give that boy some,
How many more months?
Red Bull.
Said Bowman.
Need some Red Bull over there.
I'm here.
I just like to read.
Next item.
Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5486, ordinance amending budget investment revenues, expenditures, Riverboat Fund for the year 2015, provide an additional appropriation of $43,000 for summer
third.
employment program.
Second. Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Watts.
Yes, I thought that was her, I heard.
See no one want to speak, let's vote. That passes 10-2.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5487, ordinance amending budget estimate revenues expenditures for Economic Development Fund for the year 2015 to remove appropriation of $500,000 for the Biomedical Research Foundation's EAP program.
Move to Thursday. Second. Second by Commissioner, moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Cox. As the maker of the motion, Randy, would you pass out those, that little deal I gave you?
Why we just not getting it?
Because I'm just not want you to have it.
Don't need it now.
Well, you want to hear this because I'm finna give you some factual numbers. From 2014, the taxpayers have spent $297,061 on professional fees and contract labor, $255,593 on salaries, $22,547 on employee benefits, $18,308 on payroll taxes. So out of the public dollars from the city and the parish that was spent, $593,509 out of the $750, which gives you 79% of that budget that was spent on professional services and salaries. Now, from 2014, the commission's percentage of $500,000, which they didn't use it all. So the adjusted, I'm gonna give you the out of the $500,000 and the adjusted. Out of the $500,000, there was 35% for professional services, 37% on salaries, 3% on benefits, 3% on payroll taxes. When you do the adjusted, because they spent $421,000, that's 92% of the money spent. So how can you actually have new development when 92% of the money that you give them from this EAP goes to salaries? Interesting question, right? So that's why I have this on the board. We've asked for a report on the update. I have yet to hear where we had some successful companies being started up, and I think we have some organizations out there already that will do this at a much lower cost to the taxpayers. Now, this is different from the tax that people went and voted on. This is something that we voted on, and I just think that we're spending too much money, and they also putting some of the tax millages into this as well. So this is money we could free up to do other things inside the parish that could benefit something else. Commissioner Baker.
And you saying all that to say what?
That supports my thing on the agenda, the ordinance on the agenda.
To remove the money?
Yes.
Because you feel like they're not expending the money like you think they should?
I'm saying they're spending the money on professional services and salaries. That's not anything to do with the program itself.
Did we specify in the contract what they have to spend the money on?
I was about to ask, what are the guidelines?
They have a cooperative endeavor agreement, which we don't see.
Why we don't see it?
We don't see it.
We don't see that, no.
Oh, well, why we don't have, we all need to know about that.
Unless there's a question. But anyway,
In the corporate endeavor agreement, did we say that, did we specify what they had to utilize the funding for?
well, I put it like this. We go through many organizations. A lot of them are NGOs, which I know is totally different from economic development deal. But with your NGOs, you pound them that they can't spend it on salaries, they can't spend it on buildings, they can't spend it on this, they can't spend it on that. So it's very limited on what they can actually spend. And those are the ones that are at ground level trying to do the best for what they can in their area. And so with this, I'm not saying the program is bad. I'm just saying that the useful of the taxpayers' money, the city and the parish, specifically the parish, since that's the one I can vote on, it's just too much gone to salaries and professional services. And we don't see any results from it.
Well,
I haven't heard a successful story that says I got money and this is what's happening and it created X amount of jobs. I hadn't seen that.
the rules and regulations that we give to the NGOs were created by this board. So I feel like if we are deciding to make a decision on the economic development, because that's two different funds that these monies are appropriated from. NGO is different from economic development. So if we're gonna, if you wanting to put stipulations on the monies that the economic development organizations do specific things with them, then I think we should say that in the beginning. I don't think we should go back after we've appropriated funding, they've signed a contract that says one thing, and then we don't like what they're doing, and then we just decide that we want to go and change it because they're not expending the money like we want them to expend the money. Now, if we had those things lined out item by item saying you can't spend monies on salaries like we have in the NGO contracts, then I would say, and they were doing it anyway, then I would say, yes, let's take the money. But, I mean, they're doing what they signed the contract to do for us. We didn't tell them not to spend the money.
What are the results?
Well, we also told them earlier this year, I think it was early this year, sometime during the course of them getting the funding, that if they was not going to do what they say they were going to do and produce the amount of jobs or a certain percentage or something like that, I can't remember what the actual verbiage is.
That's where we are today.
What's the deadline?
No, well, wait a minute. We gave them a time. We gave them to the end of this year. So why do you want to take that after 4 months in the year and decide, well, I done did research and they're doing this and they're doing that and they're paying salaries, so let's just take the money away from them and not even give them an opportunity and a chance to prove themselves like we gave them. That's like, not being a person of your word. And I'm not going to sit here and not be a person of my word. Now, we told them that. They signed the contract. In the contract, it doesn't specifically say you cannot use the funding for any salaries in the economic development contract. In the NGO contract, it says that. Economic development contract does not say that. We let them sign a contract, and then we're going to come back and say what they can and cannot do. And I don't think that's right, and it's certainly not professional. So I will not be supporting your ordinance to remove the appropriation for the EAP from biomass.
Okay, Commissioner Escobar.
Okay, first of all, I think as I understand it, the limitations on the use of money for NGOs or our rules are in line with state law, which tells us what those monies can and cannot be expended for. And it prohibits salaries and benefits and all that. That's state law. So it may be part of our policy, but, we don't have any choice in the matter. Exception is economic development is different. And I'm simply going to ask anybody that has any doubt, what did you think you were voting for when we first decided that this program would be worth a shot? Where did you think the money was going to go? Of course it was going to go for salaries to set it up, because that's what this Corps does. That's what it was going to do. This organization was not going to create the ideas, the innovation, and the jobs. They were going to set up a mechanism to go out and seek the innovators and the inventors and the creators. And raise the angel fund investors. And once they found them, bring them and pair them together to try to help them be successful. They're the facilitators. They're not the entrepreneurs themselves. And that's what we funded. And they're doing exactly what the funds were intended for. And if that's a revelation to somebody, then Jesus, I cannot believe that after a year and a half, we're just now figuring out what it was about. But they've done what they're supposed to do. And now they are at the point, they've had the first round of people meet with the angel investors. They've lined up their angel investors. We could have the next Michael Dell here, or the next Southwest Airlines. We don't know this. But we always knew that we would take a shot. And partnering with UT, who wrote the book, in Austin on economic development is a smart thing. We also, they were here 6 months ago and they said, we didn't spend your whole appropriation because it took us longer to get started up than we thought. So we don't need all the money. They set up their organization, they set up their infrastructure, and they were here during the budget time saying, we're ready to move forward now. And now we're 5 months into the year. We said, good, we'll wait for your report. Let's see what you can do this year, and then we'll reassess. Now 5 months into the year, we want to pull the rug out from under them when they just got their feet on it. I'm not so sure. I think maybe some of this has to do with some comments that were made in the last week or so.
Probably a lot.
I think it's got a lot to do with it. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a shame. We made a commitment along with the city that we're going to take a chance and realize a vision and try to create something for our citizens. Something that could uplift them, create jobs, economic benefit, and quit being, a third world city. And we need to make good on that commitment. And if people are upset because of comment of a few people, then that's fine. I can tell you this. Look at all the people you're going to hurt and impact potentially by doing this. Look at all the intellectual capital that we may risk losing. And the last point I'll make is, every village has its idiots, and you don't burn the village down because there's a couple of idiots living in it. It's as simple as that. We need to honor our commitment. Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau.
I remember when they came at budget time last year, I was disappointed with what they had done up to that time. But after listening to them, and it appeared that they had a trail that they were trying to blaze, I told myself that, and I think it was the feelings of a lot of people that, if I recall, as we were speaking, that we're going to give you one more year to see what this is going to accomplish. And I think y'all know me well enough to know that the net effect of what we get for our funds is all I'm interested in. I don't care if this was done at UT. We're not UT. We're not Austin. We're Shreveport, Louisiana. And I know this for sure, that if we are unable or unwilling to make commitments to the minority in this community, because they're really the folks that need to become better producers. And if we can't have only 50% of our population producing, we can't do that. We need to have some way to create producers. And I think this is what we're going to get. Now, if at the end of the year, all we've had is a lot of people that got paid a lot of money, then I'm going to vote with you. If I don't see where there's been jobs created, and if I don't see where there's been a substantial amount of time and effort spent with clients, you won't get my vote. But I'm looking for jobs in Caddo Parish. And I don't care about the rest of it. It doesn't make me a bit, I don't care who the guy was that brought us the idea. But I noticed on here what I think is a large number of professional fees and contract labor, $175,000. That's a lot of money. I hope the folks that are doing this contract labor are providing some outstanding services and a lot of quality time and results for the people that are in the program. And so that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for the net results. We spent $500,000 this year. We spent a couple $100,000 last year. By the time the year's out, we will spend about $700,000 on this program. And if we don't have anything more than we had when we started, then I'll vote with you.
900,000.
Whatever the amount is, I expect substantial results, and it does take time.
Commissioner Bowman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief, but I too agree with that. I was one of the original persons to vote, and I also went down to Austin to see what would be the incubator of what we're going to have, kind of replicated here in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. I do understand about it's going to take a minute with the salaries. I am disappointed with you about that as well. I agree with you, but I also know there's a process, and we voted just a few months ago to allow them this opportunity to be able to prove to us. And honestly, I really, I'm very serious about this. I smile a lot, but I'm serious. We have to show results. This is nothing to play with. The money is not anything to play with, you know. I see Tony, I grew up with you all my life off of Milton Street before we moved to DC, and I saw all the things that you've come back. I do know it's progress, but we gotta have to, long story short, we're gonna have to reach across the boards. I understand that some of this may have been fueled by some comments. At the same time, that should also serve as, because you may not be responsible, but for the next person or maybe two, Dr. George, is someone needs to let someone know that you got to watch what you say and not take for granted the people who are going to be a part of this, because this is supposed to represent and stretch across to not only help business-minded people who are trying to start businesses, but also to be able to help all persons across the spectrum, be it minorities, lesbian, gays, whatever it is, purple, brown, whatever it takes. I'm about jobs. We need to hurry up and produce results with this. And so I'm going to allow you all to have that time that you said in order for us to see, but I do expect results myself.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the greatest formula for success is being the equalizer in our country is education and economics. It crosses all racial lines and party lines, and that's the equalizer formula, one-on-one, for as I'm concerned about economics. And I do feel Mr. Johnson have a legitimate complaint. We seem to pick and choose who we want to go in depth into and look at personal finances. We do that up here. We pick and choose the ones. So you do have a legitimate concern about how the taxpayers' money is being spent. So with that being said, I hope that we don't look at this as another handout, but a hand up. To say that to help people lift themselves out of poverty, lift themselves that don't have the technical skill that they need to make a cultural, a business connection with professional with the expertise and have the documented and demonstrated record that they have done this to help people, because a lot of people can only take their dream so far. Well, you have to have intellectual capital to be able to move forward. So here again, the Commissioner Johnson does have a legitimate point. We pick and choose the one we want to look into and see how they spend their money. That is not right. That is not right. So I don't totally agree with you, but to kill the dream and the dreamers and kill the messenger, not the messenger, would be a setback. And we're trying to have a better working relationship, better race relationship around here, better Democrats and Republicans, black and white, young and old, working together. And the best way to do that is have some economic opportunity. That creates jobs, and that helps everybody. Everybody happy then. We don't have no issues about fighting over the pie or trying to fight over contracts and jobs. So jobs and opportunities seem to do a lot of things for people. It gives them hope. And right now, there's a lot of people in this area don't have no hope. There are people get jobs before other people get jobs, and that is unfair. So what we need to do is help them to facilitate their dream, hold them accountable for the taxpayers' money, and make sure we don't go all in one direction. But don't stop progress. One thing this sweet city don't need is slow down progress. We need some more oil on the wheel so we can keep moving forward. So keep on oil on the wheel of opportunity so we can create more jobs and opportunity for the citizens in Caddo Parish. Thank you.
Commissioner Dominic.
Call for the question.
Thank you. Like that, Michael.
Got a motion to call for the question, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Let's vote on calling of the question. That passes 11-1. So now we'll vote on the ordinance.
And Reed, you wanted to remove it, right? Original one?
The way it's written. There was no substitutes.
All right.
That fell 4-8, not to pass, not to advance it.
Okay. Authorize resolution number 29 declaring May as National Bike Month and Bicycle Safety Month.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, seconded by Mr. Bo.
Baby boy.
See no one wants to speak, let's vote.
Remember, I was baby born out here a long time.
Still are.
That passes 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 30 of 2015, supporting the United States Department of Transportation's mayors and local elected officials challenge for safer people and safer streets.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Dominique. See no one that wishes to speak.
How they gonna keep them safe?
We'll talk about it Thursday.
I'll come back.
yeah. Bowman,
There he goes again.
that passes 11-1.
Authorize resolution number 31, authorize acceptance of the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Vote. Passed that time. 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 32, resolution urging the state legislature, Louisiana to enact House Bill 72.
What is it?
Moved by Commissioner Watts, seconded by
Second.
Bowman. No one wants to speak? 12-0, it passes.
Authorize special resolution to the North Caddo Lady Rebels.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique, seconded by Commissioner Cox. No one wants to speak, let's vote. 12-0.
Authorize Mr. Lester Smith as visitor for regular session.
So move. Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Escudé.
Wouldn't it be better to allow this gentleman to come, maybe somebody from Elio Motors could be here to answer his questions? Because we don't know any more about it than he does.
We shouldn't cut out people that want to speak and know answers about Elio Motors and the group offered jobs over the last 2 years. They're
Well,
not
they're
here.
asking the wrong people.
Well, if you want to come up, we shouldn't allow that to happen. We'll move to Thursday.
Commissioner Cox.
I gotta agree, because last couple times he's been here, he went out and listened to the information we give him. Then he made false accusations against me personally the last time he was here.
Got a job out there.
Oh yeah, I'm making them big money. So, I'm gonna vote no against this. He's got the right to come speak just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But if he's gonna come speak, have him have his facts together. And if he wants something from Elio Motors, have him call Paul Elio or somebody that's got his answers, because we do not.
We allow other people, the animal people to come. We don't cut them off.
I didn't say cut him off. I said if he comes, point of order. I still got it.
talking?
Well, if something is addressed to me, if he's gonna come up here with accusations next time, tell him to walk softly. Because if he uses my name again, I'll pop him with a lawsuit.
All right, tell him.
Let's vote.
Yeah, you're a lawyer.
I got one.
Hoping ain't going to.
Like anybody.
Let's see. That passes 9-3.
Next we move to
Hey, I ain't
consent
voted
agenda.
for it.
That's it.